The night shift at Deep Space Monitoring Station Delta was usually quiet. Most of the staff used this time to catch up on research papers or play card games in the break room. But tonight was different. Dr. James Miller rubbed his tired eyes and stared at the data scrolling across his screen. For 3 hours straight, the same pattern had been coming through their receivers. It originated somewhere near Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth at just over 4 light-years away. Probably just stellar noise, he muttered, reaching for his coffee mug, only to find it empty. He was about to ignore the reading when Tom Reed, his young assistant, burst into the room. "Dr. Miller, are you seeing this?" Tom's eyes were wide with excitement. His normally neat brown hair stuck up at odd angles, suggesting he'd been running his hands through it repeatedly, something he did when he was on to something big. "It's just background radiation, Tom. Go get some sleep," Miller said, waving him off. Tom shook his head firmly. "No, sir. Look at the pattern." He pushed past Miller and typed rapidly on the keyboard. The screen changed to show a visual representation of the signal's pattern. "See these repeating sequences? They're prime numbers. Then this section here," his finger traced a complex arrangement on the screen. "It's a mathematical formula, too precise to be natural." Miller sat up straight, his tiredness forgotten. He adjusted his glasses and leaned closer. "You're right. This is artificial." By morning, they had called in the rest of the team. The small monitoring station buzzed with activity as scientists huddled around screens, debating the signal's meaning. Lisa Green, their best computer analyst, had been working non-stop on decoding the message. Her dark skin glistened with sweat despite the room's cool temperature. "It's not just math," she announced. "There are engineering specifications embedded in the signal, very detailed ones." She projected her findings onto the main screen. "These look like instructions for building something." "A weapon?" asked Jack Peters, the station security officer. Lisa shook her head. "I don't think so. More like a communication device of some kind, very advanced." Dr. Miller studied the schematics. "The question is, who sent this, and to whom?" "That's the strangest part," Tom said. "Based on the signal's direction and strength, Earth wasn't the target. It seems to be passing through our system, headed somewhere else entirely, a message not meant for us." "A distress call between two unknown civilizations," Miller mused. "And we just happened to be in the middle," Tom added. Within days, news of the signal reached government officials. Station Delta was suddenly crawling with military personnel and government scientists. Dar. Miller found himself in a video conference with representatives from major world powers. "The signal represents an unprecedented opportunity," said Dr. Wilson from NASA, "but also an unknown risk." General Adams of the United States Space Force frowned deeply. "We should monitor, but not engage. If two alien civilizations are communicating, the last thing we want is to get caught in the middle of their affairs." "I agree," said the Chinese representative. "Observation only." One by one, the officials voiced their concerns about responding to a message not meant for humans. "The risks are too great," they concluded. After the meeting, Tom found Dr. Miller standing alone in the observation dome, staring up at the stars. "They're afraid," Miller said without turning around. "Aren't you?" Tom asked, joining him. Miller smiled, a mixture of terror and curiosity. "Somewhere out there, someone needs help. This could be how first contact happens, not with grand announcements or invasion fleets, but with one civilization simply helping another. If we respond, we're breaking protocol. We could lose our jobs, or worse. Sometimes the best introduction is lending a hand when it's needed," Miller replied. "What do you think that device is for?" Tom hesitated. "Based on the specifications, it's likely a quantum communication system, far more advanced than anything we have." "Could we build it?" "Maybe parts of it, enough to establish contact at least." Tom studied his mentor's face. "You're really considering this, aren't you?" Miller turned to face his young assistant. "If we wait for official approval, it might be too late. Whatever emergency prompted this signal might have passed. This is our chance to show whoever is out there that humanity is ready to join the galactic community." Tom was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "I'll help you draft a response, something simple, just to let them know we heard them." That night, while the military guards changed shifts, Dr. Miller and Tom snuck into the main transmission room. Using the station's powerful array, they sent a simple return message, a mathematical acknowledgement, using the same pattern structure as the original signal. "Now we wait," Miller said as they finished. "How long do you think it will take to get a response?" Tom asked. "That depends on who's listening," Miller replied, looking up at the stars visible through the observatory dome, and how desperate they are for an answer. As they left the transmission room, neither man noticed the small red light blinking on one of the monitoring consoles, an automatic recording of their unauthorized transmission saved to the station's security logs. 3 months later, their answer arrived, and nothing on Earth would ever be the same again. Dar. James Miller was called into the station director's office. The moment he stepped inside, he knew something big had happened. The room was filled with important-looking people in suits and military uniforms. "Dr. Miller," Director Brown began, her face unusually pale, "we received a response." The room fell silent as Miller tried to process what she had said. From the signal source, a tall man in a general's uniform stepped forward. "3 hours ago, our receivers picked up a massive data burst aimed directly at Earth, specifically at this station." Miller's heart raced. "What did it say?" Director Brown nodded to a technician, who projected an image onto the wall screen. Complex diagrams filled the display, showing intricate schematics and formulas. "It's a blueprint," Miller whispered, leaning closer. "For the device mentioned in the original signal." "Yes," said Director Brown. "And there's more." She nodded to the technician again, who displayed a second image with simple symbols. "Our linguists believe this translates roughly to, construction imperative. Time-limited assistance appreciated." General Adams crossed his arms. "Someone out there thinks we can build this thing, and they need it fast. Can we?" "That's why you're here, Doctor," Director Brown replied. "You started this conversation. Now we need to know if humanity can finish it." Within days, the story had leaked to the press. News agencies worldwide reported on the alien blueprint and the fact that Earth had been specifically chosen to help an unknown civilization. Politicians argued over what to do, scientists debated whether the device was even possible to build, and religious leaders offered their various interpretations. After 2 weeks of chaos, the United Nations formed the United Response Initiative, URI, a global team of the best scientists, engineers, and security experts. Dr. Miller and Tom Reed were appointed to lead the scientific division. Their first major meeting was held in a converted aircraft hangar. "It's a quantum communication device," explained Kate Wilson, a brilliant engineer from MIT with short blonde hair and restless hands. "But it uses principles we've only theorized about. The materials alone." "Sounds impossible," Colonel Robert Barnes interjected. He was a tall man with a stern face and short gray hair, always expecting the worst. Kate smiled. "Not impossible, just challenging. We've been working on similar quantum resonators at Stanford. Primitive compared to this, but the principles are the same." "And the rare materials?" Barnes asked. "We found substitutes for some," Kate explained. "For the rest, we'll need to mine asteroids." "Mine asteroids?" Barnes laughed without humor. "In what time frame?" 6 months, Kate said confidently. Barnes shook his head. "While you're at it, I'm building defensive measures around the construction site. This whole thing could be a trap." As the team dispersed to begin their work, Miller caught up with Barnes. "You don't trust our new friends?" Barnes stopped and turned to face Miller. "Doctor, in my experience, nothing is free. These aliens want something badly enough to ask complete strangers for help. That makes me nervous, or desperate." Miller suggested, "Either way, Barnes. I plan to be ready." The next few months were the most intense of Miller's life. Countries that had been enemies for generations now worked together, pooling resources and knowledge. The device took shape in a specially built facility in the Sahara Desert, far from population centers, just in case Barnes was right. Strange things began to happen as construction progressed. Scientists reported odd energy readings in Earth's orbit, satellite communications occasionally showed unexplained interference, and team members working directly with the device components sometimes reported hearing whispers just at the edge of hearing. 4 months into construction, Kate burst into Miller's office, eyes wide with excitement. "We had a breakthrough, the quantum phase inverter." "I thought that was months away from completion," Miller said, surprised. "It was," Kate replied, "but last night, Dr. Patel realized the solution was simpler than we thought. It's like, the physics suddenly made sense in a new way." Similar breakthroughs happened across the project. Problems that should have taken years to solve were conquered in days, as if the human mind were evolving to understand the alien technology. By the end of 5 months, 1 month ahead of schedule, the device stood complete in the center of the facility. It looked deceptively simple, a metallic ring 3 meters in diameter, woven with crystals, wires, and humming components. "Is it on?" Director Brown asked as the team gathered for the final inspection. "Not yet," Kate replied, just as the device began to glow. The metal ring vibrated, and the air inside shimmered like heat waves on a summer road. "Everyone back," Colonel Barnes ordered, drawing his sidearm. The humming rose in pitch until it was almost painful, then everything stopped. The ring filled with what looked like liquid starlight, a vertical pool of shimmering energy. From this pool, a voice spoke, not through sound, but directly in their minds. "We did not expect you to succeed. Yet you have built our connection. For this, we are grateful." A figure began to form in the liquid light, an alien unlike anything human eyes had seen. As first contact was established, Dr. Miller realized, with a mixture of awe and fear, that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. The world held its breath as the alien emissary stepped fully out of the shimmering portal. Dr. Miller's heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Welcome to Earth," he said again, louder this time, extending a hand. The speaker regarded his gesture for a long moment before one of its slender, crystal-like fingers brushed Miller's. A ripple of unearthly warmth passed between them. Behind them, Colonel Barnes lowered his weapon, though his jaw remained tight. Kate Wilson watched in fascination as the emissary, now fully manifested in the sandy hangar, took in its surroundings with compound eyes that reflected the assembled humans and equipment. Tom Reed, standing at Miller's side, felt a thrill of awe and dread. The speaker's voice resonated directly in their minds. "I am the liaison for the Arcanian High Council. We come with gratitude and urgency. Our civilization flees a predator beyond any known threat." Murmurs rippled through the room. Director Brown stepped forward. "You say you fled because of harvesters," she said carefully. "What are they, and why do they threaten you?" The emissary projected a shifting hologram above its open, palm-like hands, crystalline vessels drifting through starfields, sweeping across worlds and stripping them of technology. "Void harvesters," it explained. "They consume advanced civilizations once certain thresholds are reached. As a safeguard, we sought sanctuary among the Luminarians, our allies, hoping their shield technology would protect us. But our message went unanswered. We have nowhere else to turn." Miller swallowed. "Then you came here and hoped that we might rescue you?" "Rescue," the speaker echoed. "Or at least forge an alliance. Your response, though unauthorized among your own, proved your species' potential for cooperation." Colonel Barnes cleared his throat. "Cooperation is fine, but trust is earned. Why should we risk our world for yours? The emissary's eyes tilted. Because your world now shares our plight. The harvesters detected your activation of the gate. 3 of our scouts drift toward your system even now. They will arrive within 3 of your Earth months. Kate stepped forward. You said your allies failed to respond. Is there any other defense besides the Luminarian's shield? None that we know, the speaker admitted. Our weapons cannot breach the harvesters' shields. Our ships cannot outrun them indefinitely. Without aid, both our worlds face extinction. Silence followed. Director Brown exchanged glances with Barnes and Miller. At last, she nodded. We will help you, but on Earth's terms. First, we secure our own system. Then, should harvesters approach, we defend both Arcs and Earth together. Accepted, the speaker replied. Its form flickered as though relieved. In the weeks that followed, Station Delta became the nerve center of an unprecedented effort. The Arcanians shared all schematics they had for Luminarian's shield technology. Human engineers adapted each design to terrestrial materials and manufacturing methods. Factories once devoted to consumer electronics retooled their assembly lines. Shipyards began constructing hybrid vessels, Earth hulls layered with Arcanian crystal plating. Miller and Tom organized daily video conferences with Arcanians floating within their pool of starlight, issuing clarifications and corrections in real time. Kate led a team in the Sahara facility, testing scaled-down shield prototypes against simulated harvesting beams. Colonel Barnes supervised planetary defense drills, coordinating fleets of old satellites and radio arrays to broadcast disruptive quantum noise. Meanwhile, the press dubbed the fledgling alliance Earth's Last Hope. Protests erupted in some cities. Factions who feared alien influence demanded that Arcanians depart immediately, while others rallied in support, urging global unity. Governments teetered between cautious openness and paranoid resistance. One night, Kate intercepted a garbled distress signal from a prototype shield array in Siberia. The crystals had overloaded, bathing the facility in blinding light before collapsing into inert glass. As she and Miller raced to analyze the failure, the Arcanian liaison reached out in their shared quantum channel. Your adaptation is admirable, it said. But our crystal matrices tolerate stress differently. Allow me to adjust your resonance parameters. Within seconds, the liaison transmitted a corrected formula. Kate reprogrammed the array's control module and restarted the sequence. The crystals hummed smoothly, forming a protective dome around the test generator. Thank you, Kate whispered. Gratitude is mutual, the liaison replied. Without your ingenuity, we would not have overcome this barrier. 6 weeks before the harvesters' predicted arrival, the first Arcanian human hybrid shield sphere was operational over the Zarlan test site. Drones probed its surface, firing high-energy pulses that dispersed harmlessly across the shimmering barrier. On monitors around the world, engineers and soldiers watched in triumph. Colonel Barnes addressed the Global Defense Council from Station Delta. Today we stand united. Earth will survive not because of one nation, but because humanity chose to help another. Let this be our legacy. Outside, under the twin glow of Earth's moon and the distant shimmer of Arcanian starlight, Station Delta's dome pulsed with readiness. Dr. Miller and Tom Reed stood side by side, gazing up at the heavens. Do you think they'll come? Tom asked quietly. Miller placed a hand on his shoulder. They will. But when they do, we'll be ready. Together. And somewhere, among the silent stars, the alien liaison watched, its compound eyes reflecting a flicker of what might have been hope, and perhaps, something new, respect. The sky above Earth rippled with strange auroras long before the harvester scouts arrived. Satellites detected the first crystalline vessels slipping silently past Mars's orbit, their black, faceted hulls reflecting sunlight like sinister jewels. From Station Delta's command center, Dr. Miller, Colonel Barnes, Kate, and the Arcanian liaison watched in tense silence as the 3 scout ships converged on Jupiter. Status report, Colonel Barnes barked, voice steady despite his pounding heart. Tom Reed tapped his console. Hybrid shield diversion is holding. The scouts diverted toward the energy signatures we broadcast from the Jovian mining stations. Their sensors treat those as high-priority targets. Good, Barnes said. Keep feeding them false positives. We'll buy as much time as we can hear. The liaison's voice, calm yet distant, echoed in their minds, your primitive ruse is effective. The harvesters perceive only the strongest signals. Once they commit their scouts to diversion, we may focus on defense. Kate leaned forward, eyes glued to the monitor. We're at 95% operational on the global shield grid. Only a handful of arrays remain to be activated. Miller exhaled. Then we prepare for impact. Over the next 48 hours, every nation on Earth flipped its analog and hybrid systems to defense mode. Wind turbines off the coast of Scotland, coal-fired plants in China, solar arrays in Chile, all synchronized to broadcast the shield's quantum noise signature. Invisible threads of shimmering energy wove across the globe, forming a multilayered barrier that no harvester beam should penetrate. On the morning of the harvester fleet's arrival, the world fell silent. Streets emptied, power lines dimmed to a low hum, and millions held their breath as the mother ship appeared in the sky, an orb of crystalline facets nearly the size of the International Space Station, flanked by 15 smaller harvesters. Activate the shields, Director Brown ordered. Across the planet, thousands of radio towers and satellite arrays flickered on. Earth's new defense grid sprang to life, bathing the skies in a silent, silver glow. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the mother ship extended its tendrils, long, translucent filaments of pure energy, toward a power plant in Germany. As the beam struck the shield, it scattered into a million motes of light. The plant survived. The scouts, still trapped around Jupiter, went dark. The harvester fleet paused, recalibrating its sensors. The humming of the shield thrummed through the atmosphere, a heartbeat of resistance. Inside Station Delta, the air was electric. Colonel Barnes watched multiple camera feeds as one by one, the harvesters probed the shield, at hydroelectric dams in Canada, at refineries in Saudi Arabia, at space launch facilities in French Guiana. Each time, the beam met the hybrid web and wavered, unable to find a clean path. Suddenly, alarms blared. They're adapting, Tom shouted. They've shifted to a higher frequency resonance, they're bypassing the first layer of our grid. Kate's fingers flew over her console. I'm switching to analog backup. We need to retune the resonance modulators now. We don't have time, Miller said. He turned to the liaison. Can your people help? Can you amplify our next tune? The Arcanian form pulsed. I will lend you what I can, but my connection is limited by this world's interference. Your ingenuity must carry the rest. Kate reconfigured the final burst of Earth-built modulators while simultaneously integrating the liaison's quantum corrections. The shield's glow intensified, rippling across continents like a rising tide. On the main screen at Delta, the mother ship charged another harvest beam, this time at the Sahara facility. The beam struck, and for a harrowing moment, the shield stuttered, showing cracks like spiderweb fractures. Then, with a final, triumphant surge of harmonized energy, the grid reformed. The beam shattered into harmless sparks. The shield shone brighter than ever before. A cheer erupted in the command center, but it was cut short by a new alert: primary harvesters are disengaging. They're retreating to regroup. Colonel Barnes exhaled, voice thick with relief. They're pulling back, for now. In the calm after the storm, Dr. Miller stepped out onto the desert sands with Tom and Kate. The Arcanian liaison hovered nearby, its starlight form glowing softly in dawn's first light. We did it, Tom whispered. Miller nodded, eyes on the horizon where the last harvester scout blinked out of sight. For now. But they'll return, stronger, wiser. The liaison spoke, its tone both solemn and hopeful. Your species has shown resilience beyond our expectations. Together, we may yet stand against the harvesters. But the ultimate battle lies ahead, in the void between our stars. Kate placed a hand on the liaison's shimmering limb. Then we'll fight it together. As Earth's hybrid shield pulsed faintly in the background, the alliance between human and Arcanian burned brighter than any weapon, a beacon of unity in a dark and hungry galaxy. In the weeks that followed the Harvester's retreat, Earth and Arcania settled into a tense vigilance. The hybrid shield remained active around key population centers, its gentle hum a constant reminder of both triumph and looming danger. Supplies of the rare crystalline components ran low, so mining teams, protected by Earth's Civilian Defense Corps, ventured into asteroid belts to harvest raw materials under Arcanian guidance. Dr. Miller spent long hours in Station Delta's war room, poring over intercepted harvester data. Tom Reed worked alongside him, comparing human-made intercept signals with the harvester's own transmissions. "They're studying our defenses," Tom observed one afternoon, frustration creasing his brow. "Every time we adapt, they retreat, and then test another weak point." "We need to go on the offensive," Miller agreed. "Waiting for them to strike puts us always one step behind." Colonel Barnes supported the shift. Under his command, Earth's repurposed space vessels, cargo freighters, research probes, and decommissioned shuttles, were retrofitted with hybrid disruptor arrays. A small flotilla formed under the joint Earth-Arcanian banner, ready for a strike at the Harvester scouts if they re-emerged. Kate Wilson oversaw the final calibration of the disruptors. She and the Arcanian liaison co-developed a targeting algorithm that exploited subtle flaws in the Harvester's crystal hulls. "It's not a weapon to destroy them outright," she explained to the assembled command staff. "But a concentrated burst at these nodal points could disable their sensors long enough for us to board or drive them off." The liaison agreed. Arcanians attempted such tactics against minor harvester outposts, with limited success. "Your ingenuity may tip the balance." On the eve of the flotilla's departure, nations worldwide observed a moment of unity. Broadcasts showed children in Tokyo switching off village lights, fishermen in Norway dimming their lanterns, and rural communities across Africa extinguishing bonfires, so that when the fleet launched from orbital docks over Cape Canaveral, its silent passage across the night sky would go unseen until it was too late for the harvesters to react. Station Delta's crew watched anxiously as the vessels slipped through the hybrid shield's perimeter. Dr. Miller, flanked by Tom and Kate, keyed in the final launch coordinates. "Godspeed," he whispered, though whether to Earth or to Arcania he could not tell. Less than an hour later, the scout ships reappeared, 3 dark silhouettes drifting in from the outer system. They swept past Mars at a cautious distance before homing in on the decoy signal still broadcasting from the Jovian stations. Colonel Barnes gave the order, "Engage disruptors." A flash of iridescent light erupted as the hybrid arrays fired, striking the closest scout vessel. Instrument panels lit up with overload warnings, the scout shuddered and slowed. 2 Earth frigates, each equipped with Arcanian boarding pods, surged forward under the cover of the second ship's disabled sensors. On the bridge of the lead frigate, Commander Li Chen voiced the data from her tactical officer: "Our boarding pods are locked onto the hull. Magnetic clamps engaged. Airlock breach in 5, 4, 3. Seconds later, the boarding pods attached to the scout's crystal surface. A hiss of atmosphere filled the pods' corridors as their seals equalized. Marines in hybrid suits poured into the alien vessel, weapons primed with disruptor settings designed to incapacitate rather than kill. Below decks, they found a crystalline control core, the very heart of the scout sensor network, pulsing with blue-green light. Sergeant Martinez placed a disruptor charge against one of its nodal points and signaled the timer. As the team evacuated to their pods, the charge detonated in a cascade of refracted energy, fracturing the core and silencing the ship's systems. Across the void, the other 2 scouts flinched in place, scanning for what had happened. Their targeting arrays flickered, unable to lock onto Earth's fleet or decoy signals. Then, as if recognizing a dead zone, they began a slow drift away from the solar system. Back at Station Delta, Dr. Miller monitored the feed from Commander Chen's helmet cam. When the pods re-entered the hybrid shield and docked with the command vessel, he allowed himself a rare, unguarded smile. "We did it," he said, voice thick with relief. The Arcanian liaison appeared beside him, its form wavering with what humans might call emotion. "You have shown courage and creativity equal to any Arcanian effort," it communicated. "Perhaps together we can save more than just our two worlds." Miller nodded, already turning to Tom and Kate. "This is only the beginning. Now we know the harvesters can be stopped, if we continue to outthink them." Outside, the first dawn in months painted Earth's horizon in shades of rose and gold. In that quiet light, two species, human and Arcanian, stood united, ready to carry the fight beyond their skies and into the heart of the galaxy itself.